Let's talk about your roof. It's so much more than just shingles and wood, right? It is your home's first and, honestly, its most important line of defense. So today, we're not just going to talk about maintenance, we are creating your roof's official battle plan.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It's such a simple statement, but it's so incredibly powerful. Everything you care about, your family, your memories, literally every single thing you own is all sitting under that one structure. When you think about it like that, you realize the stakes couldn't be higher.
Well, it's that classic out of sight, out of mind trap, isn't it? We just don't think about the constant beating our roof is taking until we see that awful water stain on the ceiling. But here's the thing. By then, the enemy has already broken through, and the damage is well underway.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to get a real sense of the daily battle happening over your head. Then, we'll name the enemy forces, sun, storms, and time. We'll learn how to spot the early warning signs, walk through the pro-repair process, and finally, talk about how to build a truly weatherproof defense.
You might not realize it, but every single day, your roof is in a silent war. It's facing this constant barrage from the elements, and it's a battle it absolutely has to win, day after day, just to keep your home and everyone in it safe.
To win any fight, you've got to know your enemy first. And for your roof, the enemy shows up in a lot of different forms. Some are really obvious and violent, but others are slow, quiet, and honestly, way more deceptive.
All right, first up, the sun. That relentless, punishing summer heat literally bakes your asphalt shingles. This is a process called thermal cycling. They expand in the heat and then shrink when it cools down. Over and over. This makes them brittle, they start to lose their protective granules, and eventually, they just crack. And that leaves the layer underneath totally exposed.
Then, of course, you've got the brute force of a hailstorm. But here's the really sneaky part. Hail does more than just leave little cosmetic dents. It creates these tiny bruises and cracks in the shingle's internal mat. You can't see them from the ground, but over the next few months, they spread and turn into major leaks long after you've forgotten about the storm.
And you can't forget about wind. High winds are masters of getting right under the edge of a shingle and breaking that factory seal. Once the wind gets that little bit of a foothold, it can just start peeling back entire sections of your roof. The moment that happens, the next rainstorm pours straight into your house.
Now, beyond those big three attackers, you've got these other, more subtle threats that are always at work. Rapid temperature swings constantly stress the materials, making them weak. If you live in an area with clay soil, even tiny shifts in your home's foundation can pop the seals on the roof. And get this, even long-term UV exposure on the sealants, or pollution from cars, can slowly eat away at your roof's integrity. It's a lot.
Okay, so we know the enemy. Now let's talk about some basic reconnaissance. The good news is, you do not have to be a roofing expert to spot trouble. If you can learn to read just a few of these key warning signs, you can catch a small problem way before it turns into a massive, wallet-draining disaster.
So here's what you want to look for. If you see a bunch of black, sandy stuff, those are the granules, in your gutters, that's your first clue. It means your shingles are losing their protective armor. See any shingles that are curling up at the edges or look like they're blistering? That is a textbook sign of serious heat damage. Now, if you see a water stain on your ceiling, game over for that spot. Water has already made it through every single layer of defense. And a sagging spot on the roof? That's code red. That means the wood structure underneath is probably rotting away.
Okay, so you've spotted one of the warning signs. Now what? Do you panic? Nope. You deploy your response plan. Just understanding the professional process can turn what feels like a really stressful situation into a totally manageable project, one with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Any quality roofing job is going to follow three main phases. First is a super thorough inspection and assessment to figure out exactly what's wrong. Second is the actual work, the installation and construction. And third, you've got the final walkthrough and the warranty paperwork to make sure everything was done right. So in that first phase, what you should demand is total transparency. A real pro is going to get up on your roof, they're going to check the decking, they're even going to pop their head in your attic to look for signs of leaks. They should be taking pictures of everything and then give you a detailed, written estimate. There shouldn't be any guesswork, just a clear diagnosis and a solid plan.
All right, now for the most critical part, building your defense. Because, let's be honest, not all roofs are created equal. Let's break down what separates a basic, just barely up-to-code roof from a truly strong, weatherproof system that's actually designed to last for decades.
This is where the little details make all the difference.
A pro uses very specific nailing patterns for wind resistance. A shortcut is just slapping nails in, which is why those roofs fail in the first big storm. A strong roof has a high-quality synthetic underlayment. That's the waterproof barrier, while a cheap one uses basic old felt paper that just gets brittle and rots. A pro pulls permits and gets inspections. A corner cutter avoids any kind of oversight. The bottom line is these small details are the difference between a roof that lasts 5 years and one that lasts 25.
So, what should you be asking for? What are the non-negotiables for your new defense system? Look for materials with high wind ratings, like 110 to 130 miles per hour. Ask specifically for Class 4 impact-resistant shingles. They are way tougher against hail and can sometimes even get you a discount on your insurance. You have to insist on a special ice and water shield in the valleys of your roof, because that's where all the water collects. And make sure there's proper flashing around every single pipe, vent, or chimney. And last but not least, a solid workmanship warranty. That is your contractor's promise that they stand behind their work, no matter what.
And that really brings us to the biggest takeaway here. It's so easy to look at a new roof as just this huge, painful expense. But we really need to reframe that. A strong, properly installed roof isn't an expense, it's an investment in the safety and security of everything and everyone under it.
So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. We know the enemy's out there. The sun, the wind, the next big storm, they're all coming. After everything we've talked about today, the only question left is your roof ready for them?